Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFL landscape lately, especially to everything going on around the Detroit Lions, you already know that this offseason has been anything but dull. The Lions, coming off a really impressive season, one that saw them making serious noise in the NFC and even threatening to go all the way, are now entering a new chapter, and some of the decisions they're making could have ripple effects that last for years. Today, I want to talk about a topic that's been buzzing among fans and analysts alike, something that could really shape the Lions' future at quarterback: the situation with Hendon Hooker, the young quarterback they drafted in the third round of the 2023 NFL Draft. You see, the Lions made a pretty bold move by selecting Hendon Hooker, a player with a ton of potential, but also some significant questions surrounding him. Hooker, coming out of Tennessee, was seen as a guy with a strong arm, good mobility, and a lot of upside. But as most of you know, his transition to the NFL has been anything but smooth. The big hurdle was that ACL injury he sustained at the end of his college career, which kept him off the field for most of his rookie season. So naturally, fans and media wondered, what does the future hold for this promising but injured quarterback? Well, the Lions, like any team, are weighing their options and trying to figure out whether Hendon Hooker is part of their long-term plans or if they might cut their losses and move on. Now, during the offseason, the narrative was somewhat mixed. Some analysts, especially those who are high on Hooker's potential, believed he could push Jared Goff in the future, maybe even take over the starting role after a year or two of development. Remember, Goff has been a solid quarterback for Detroit, but the Lions are always looking for that next franchise guy, someone they can build around for years to come. Hooker, at just 27 years old, still has plenty of room to grow, and his athleticism and arm talent are undeniable. But as the offseason progressed and more moves were made, a different picture started to emerge. In the NFL, especially when it comes to roster decisions, perception is everything. And right now, many pundits see Hendon Hooker more as a potential cut candidate than as a lock to make the team. Some are even more blunt about it. Just recently, Sean Baligan from Woodward Sports Network made a pretty bold statement. He said, and I quote, "The decision has already been made, and that it's obvious that the Lions are leaning towards cutting Hooker after the preseason." Now, that's a pretty strong statement, and it's based on what we've seen so far, the addition of veteran quarterback Kyle Allen, for example, who was signed in free agency early this year. Allen brings experience, having been around the league for a few seasons, and his presence could be a factor in the Lions' decision-making process. You see, the Lions signed Kyle Allen during the first week of free agency, and he's been brought in to add depth and stability behind Jared Goff. And that, combined with the fact that Hooker has yet to play a full season in the NFL due to his injury, has many wondering if he's really got a spot on the roster. Last season, in the limited time he was on the field, he appeared in just 3 games. He completed 6 of 9 passes for 62 yards, not exactly eye-popping stats, but enough to show some promise. He also took a sack and managed to rush for 2 yards on 5 carries. But in the NFL, especially for a team with Super Bowl aspirations like Detroit, a small sample size and injury history can be red flags. Now, I want to pause here for a second, because this is where many of you might be thinking, is it really the end of the road for Hendon Hooker in Detroit? Well, that's where the conversation gets interesting. Not everyone believes he's a guaranteed cut. In fact, some analysts, including Mike Payton from A-to-Z Sports, have taken a more cautious stance. While he admits that the roster decisions will be heavily influenced by what happens during training camp and the preseason, Payton predicts that, for now, Detroit is likely to keep Goff and Allen, and unfortunately, Hooker might be on the outside looking in. His reasoning is simple. Experience matters, and right now, Kyle Allen has more of it, especially in high-pressure situations. But the story doesn't end there. Neil Rule, co-host of the Lions coverage, has a slightly different take. He's not ready to say with absolute certainty that Hooker is gone. Instead, he emphasizes that preseason performances will be critical. Rule points out that the NFL preseason is basically a make-or-break period for many young players trying to earn their spot. It's their chance to shine against real NFL competition, to show coaches that they can handle the pressure, learn the playbook quickly, and adapt to the speed of the game. And for Hooker, this upcoming preseason is an extra opportunity, especially because Detroit will play 4 games, including the Hall of Fame game against the Chargers. It's a golden chance for him to make a statement. Now, I want you to imagine the pressure Hendon Hooker must be feeling right now. Coming off that ACL injury, missing out on a full rookie season, and now facing the challenge of earning his roster spot not just for 2023, but also laying the groundwork for his future in Detroit. The Lions are a team with Super Bowl dreams, and they're not just going to carry a third-string quarterback just for the sake of it. They need to see growth, consistency, and promise. And that's what makes this preseason so crucial for Hooker. It's his opportunity to show that all the potential the scouts saw last year is still alive, that he's learned from his injury, and that he can be a reliable backup someday. Let's take a quick step back and look at the bigger picture here. Detroit, under head coach Dan Campbell and general manager Brad Holmes, has been building a roster that's competitive, versatile, and hungry. They've made some key moves in recent years, drafting well and signing free agents who fit their aggressive, football-first mentality. The Lions are coming off a playoff appearance in 2022, their first in a while, and expectations are sky-high for this season. Jared Goff, who has proven himself as a franchise quarterback, is the leader of this team. But behind him, there's always that question mark. Who's the next guy? Can Hendon Hooker step up? Or will the Lions look elsewhere in the draft or free agency to find their backup? The truth is, the Lions are in a bit of a delicate position. They want to develop young talent, but they also need to win now. And with Goff's contract and performance, they're in a window where they can contend, but they need to be smart about roster management. That's why every preseason snap, every practice rep, every game matters so much for players like Hooker. If he can impress the coaches and show that he's more than just draft hype, he might carve out a spot. But if he falters or doesn't stand out, the decision could be made for them, and the Lions could be moving on from him sooner rather than later. It's also worth mentioning that the NFL is a league where patience is often in short supply. Teams are always looking for immediate results, and injuries can change the entire calculus. Hendon Hooker, with his injury history and limited NFL experience, faces an uphill battle. But he's also got talent, and a strong preseason could turn the tide. The Lions coaching staff, led by Dan Campbell, has shown a knack for developing players and giving them opportunities to grow. Campbell's culture is about resilience, toughness, and fighting for every inch qualities that Hooker possesses. So if there's any team that can help him bounce back and prove doubters wrong, it's Detroit. Now, for the fans watching, I know this is a roller coaster of emotions. You've seen Goff perform at a high level, and you're excited about the potential of your team. But there's always that curiosity about who's next, about the young guns trying to make their mark. Hendon Hooker's story is still being written, and these upcoming weeks are going to be critical. Will he rise to the challenge? Will he show enough promise in the preseason to earn a spot? Or is this truly the end of his journey in Detroit? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure, the Lions are a team that's always looking ahead, always planning for the future, and right now, Hendon Hooker's fate is hanging in the balance. As we look forward to the upcoming preseason games, especially that opener against the Chargers, it's impossible not to feel the excitement and anticipation. The Lions are set to showcase their talent, and for players like Hooker, it's their moment to step up. The coaching staff will be watching closely, evaluating every throw, every read, and every play. For fans, it's a chance to see young talent develop in real time and to hope for that breakthrough that could make or break a roster spot. Remember, NFL preseason isn't just about winning games. It's about proving your worth, about demonstrating that you belong at this level. And speaking of the preseason, it's interesting how much weight is placed on these games. Coaches use them to evaluate not just individual talent, but also team chemistry, game management, and readiness. For Hendon Hooker, it's about showing that he's more than a project, that he can be a reliable backup, a future starter, or at least a valuable asset moving forward. If he can master the Chargers' defensive schemes, show good decision-making, and demonstrate resilience despite the injuries, he could be making a strong case for himself. But let's not forget that the Lions aren't just about developing players. They're also about winning games and making a deep playoff run. The NFL is a results-driven league, and the front office and coaching staff will be making tough calls if they believe a player doesn't fit the current roster needs. Hendon Hooker, with his limited playing time and injury history, has a lot to prove. He's got the talent, yes, but talent alone isn't enough in the NFL. It's about consistency, effort, and showing that you're ready for the big stage. The Lions want to be a team that contends year after year, and that means making smart, sometimes difficult, decisions about roster spots. Now, for you, the passionate Lions fans, this is where it gets really interesting. These preseason battles are not just about who makes the team, they're about setting the tone for the season. They're about showing the league, your division rivals, and yourselves what kind of team Detroit is going to be in 2024. Hendon Hooker's journey is emblematic of that pursuit, a young player with enormous potential fighting against the odds, trying to carve out his place in a team with Super Bowl aspirations. Whether he makes it or not, his story highlights the grit and determination that define the Lions' culture. So, as we gear up for those preseason games, especially that first against the Chargers, keep a close eye on Hendon Hooker. Watch how he performs under pressure, how he adapts to different defenses, and how he responds to the coaching staff's feedback. Every snap counts, every play is an audition. And for the Lions, it's about building a roster that can not only compete but dominate when it counts the most. They're on the cusp of something special, and every player, especially the young ones like Hooker, has a chance to be part of that story. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on Hendon Hooker's future? Do you believe he's got what it takes to earn a spot on the roster this year? Or do you think the Lions will move on, focusing on their more experienced quarterbacks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Detroit Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news. This team is always evolving, always pushing forward, and your support makes all the difference. Let's keep this Lions family strong and ready for the exciting season ahead.